It is now 6:30. Today is January 17th, 2024. Happy birthday to my son, by the way. We're having the Board of Directors regular meeting, Trophy Club Municipal Utility District number 1. We're going into, what's the video conference for, Lori? Was that just put on there? Via video?
That's just standard language, so if any of you at the last minute need to attend via video conference, we already have the proper language.
It's going to be on there from now on?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, I didn't see, that's the first time I noticed it. Okay, as I said, we called to order at 6:30. We do have a quorum, and I'd like to welcome an oldie but goodie director, Jim Thomas, who brings with us, you have over 30 years, isn't that right?
35.
35, oh, it's a fresh rookie, right? We worked together many times, so welcome back to the Mud Board,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Thomas. Okay, first one is citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the board on any matter, whether or not it is posted on the agenda. The board is not permitted to take action on or discuss any comments made to the board at this time concerning an item not listed on the agenda. The board will hear comments on specific agenda items prior to the board addressing those items. You may speak up to 4 minutes or the time limit determined by president or presiding officer. To speak during this item, you must complete the speaker's form, that's on the back table there, that includes the topics of your statement. Citizens' comments should be limited to matters over which the board has authority. Do we have anyone signed up?
No, sir.
Okay. Next is reports and updates. 1, staff reports. A, capital improvement projects. B, operations report for November/December. C, finance reports, November/December. Quarterly tax collections, first quarter, and quarterly investment report, first quarter. That's your cue, Alan.
Good evening, directors. A few capital improvement project updates tonight. The pump station improvement project, we do have the remaining submittals in place and finalized, and a majority of the piping and valves have been delivered to the site, along with some of the electrical component panels. We anticipate pre-assembly of that piping to begin in late January and going into early February. Basically, we're going to get everything built and on site that we can and pre-pressure test that. We are going to have a major system shutdown where we shut off the entire system for 8 to 12 hours roughly. So we're going to make sure that we have everything tested, ready to go on site, pre-built. So when we disconnect that header, we can get the new appurtenances in place, hopefully without any major issue. We do have backup scenarios in place, and we'll have them ready to go. So if we have to, when we run into a major issue, we'll have supplemental water coming from our system to continue to make sure that we don't run out of water. We do anticipate this project getting pushed out. We finally got confirmation from our VFD manufacturers, but it's probably going to be a 6 to 9 month lead. We still are waiting for the build date for those, so it could get pushed out till later this year. That's just the electrical components that are necessary to run the pumps themselves. Yes.
Do we want to do this during the summertime?
So this major shutdown is what's most important.
Yeah.
We still have 3 other pumps that we're going to use, and all the other pumps are going to remain in place until we get the new VFDs.
Okay.
So we can still leave everything operational. We're still going to always have our 3 pumps, and we can pull the other ones out and reassemble once the new equipment arrives. That's
Okay.
the intent.
Okay.
What's the scheduled date again?
Well, based off of information we received this week, I anticipate September, October before the project is actually complete. Because the electrical panels, the VFDs themselves, once they arrive, everything will be built and ready to go to get the assembly done, which shouldn't take but a
When's the
week or 2.
scheduled down dates, though?
We're looking at end of February right now.
So when it's probably around 0 degrees or
That's
something?
that we're hoping. Well, I mean, we scheduled it on that.
If it freeze, then the water doesn't leak out.
There you go.
Just
you
a
go.
thought.
Also, lift station generators, all of those generators are in place and operable. We're still working through some punch list items and final startups as far as documentation of those startups and backup data with that. we'll be working to finalize that documentation and as-built drawings. We have one control module that we're waiting for number 3. So we anticipate finishing this project hopefully late January into February, but the final completion date by contract is April 24. The FY '24 waterline project, we received preliminary 90% plans. We've already reviewed those and provided our comments to our engineer. If everything goes according to schedule, we'll be advertising in March, bidding in April, bidding in March and requesting approval in April so we can begin construction in May and be completed by October. The wastewater treatment plant CIP improvements, we've got the preliminary 50% design plans. We kicked those back. I wasn't happy with what they had provided, and so they've already provided us another yes, sir.
Kevin, can I ask Alan a question on number 2?
Yeah.
Do we have any kind of plans to let the residents know that their streets are going to be kind of messed up for quite a few months?
Yes, every year before we start construction, we do a post and we give a map of the areas of construction, and then we also keep this updated and we notify the people directly.
Okay, good.
Yes. You're talking about for the waterline project?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't matter whether when you're in front of your house is torn up.
Correct.
You want to know why.
We do public notification, and then we also notify people directly, and those adjacent. CIP improvements, we have received updated preliminary drawings, and we're reviewing those as we speak. FY 2024 wastewater improvements, we do have a request for repairs tonight on the agenda. And lift station improvements, that design is still underway for those detailed specifications and plan sheets. And for capital improvements, that's all I have tonight. Do you all have any other questions?
How are we doing on water lines freezing and breaks during this time?
So we typically don't like to talk about it because then we'll start seeing an uptick. So thank you for that, sir.
We have them covered though, right?
So this weekend, we actually had one leak that I'm aware of that started today on a service line, but other than that, we have had no significant issues. I think we had one minor pipe out at the wastewater plant break, but nothing substantial. We had about 3 or 4 residents call, I think.
Okay. If you would remind me when future agendas, there's an item I want to talk to you about on that, okay? Okay. Anyone have any questions for Ellen? Okay, moving on. Consent agenda. All matters listed as consent agenda are considered to be routine by Board of Directors and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Agenda 2, consider an act to approve the consent agenda. A, December 13th, 2023, regular meeting minutes. And that's it, right, on the consent agenda? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda, item A.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Rose to approve the consent agenda, item A, December 13th, 2023, regular meeting
I'll
minutes.
second it.
Okay, we have a second by Director Thomas, his first. Note that in the minutes, his first, second, okay. Okay,
Note, I think Emily was probably in that meeting on Zoom, right?
yes, she's always on
It
Zoom,
wasn't marked here.
and you were too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I noticed it.
Okay, so can you,
It's no.
if you can review it and see and make corrections, so you approve for Lori to review it?
Yes,
So,
yes.
and you accept in a second?
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve it, and Lori will review the minutes to make sure that the people that were called in on Zoom are noted. Okay, we have a motion by Director Rose, a second by Director Thomas. All in favor, show of hands. Okay, unanimous. Okay, moving on, good catch. In the regular session, number 3, consider and take appropriate action to approve the fiscal year 2023 annual financial audit report prepared by the great Rod Abbott. Welcome back. Nice to see you again.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. I need to get up, because my computer hasn't updated yet.
Okay. What's that? You need a hard copy?
Thanks.
Yep,
Maybe about 10 steps.
I'm there for you.
So I'll try to be brief and just hit the highlights and just dig into any details, questions you might have. The loose letter in front of the audit is the required communications to you, the board members. Since you weren't on site during the audit process, if there was any difficulties in dealing with management, any disagreements on the adjustments that were necessary, or anything of that nature, it would be disclosed in here. So nothing to report there. If there's any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in your internal controls, I would point them out here and make recommendations. And so there's no control issues. So basically a clean letter here to the board. The very back page is the one audit adjustment. We're down to one now, so that's great. And it was just involving adjusting the fund balances at the beginning of the year. And so me and Stephen talked about that. I don't expect it to be a recurring issue going forward. So knock on wood, we might be down to zero next year. We'll see. Don't want to jinx it, though. As far as the bound portion of the audit, pages 1, 2, and 3 are the independent auditor's report. Trophy Club Mud is receiving a clean audit opinion, what we call an unmodified opinion.
I get a copy.
The language of that is pretty much on page 1 in the second paragraph, where it states that I believe the financial statements herein are presented fairly in all material respects.
Thank you.
I won't go over the management discussion analysis. Hopefully you had time to look that over. It's a good overview of the financials. If you'll turn to page 13, I'd like to just discuss the fund financials real quick because governmental financial statements on the audit aren't comparative like for-profit businesses and non-for-profit businesses usually are. And so I usually do a little discussion on how these balances compare to the year before. So your main operating fund is the general fund in the left column on page 13. So your cash and investments were up $224,000. Accounts receivable were up $380,000 with the increased water billing. In liabilities, your customer water deposits were down $182,000 because of the new policy you implemented. I believe it's 24 months. If you have timely payments for 24 months, everybody got reimbursed that deposit. And fund balances, unassigned fund balance near the bottom for the general fund, $10,030,878 is up just a little bit over $1 million compared to the year before. So very good. That is equal to 10.2 months of your 2023 expenditures in that fund, which is very healthy and will help you finance as you go, cash flow as you go, improvements that you want to make. We turn to page 15. Page 15, we'll see how we got there on the increase on the fund balance. Really, it was all about the revenues of water and wastewater charges, particularly water. But water and wastewater combined were up $1,038,000. And overall revenues were up 9%, about $1.1 million. So the main change was in the water and wastewater billing. On expenditures, mostly gradual increases in most of the departments. The capital outlays near the middle of expenditures is your long-term improvements to the water and sewer system. And that's where we had the biggest increase. You had a lot of water projects that finally closed out. And so for capital outlays, the $3.553 million was up about $1.5 million compared to the year before. Given that, total expenditures of $11.8 million was up 16% from the year before. But again, that's probably a spike in capital outlays for this particular year. I'm guessing. I don't know how 2024 is going, but I would guess that. So before transfers out to help out the debt service fund, you had a net increase in fund balance of $2,077,000. But then again, you had $1.5 million go into the debt service fund. Even doing that, and with the big capital outlays, third row from the bottom, you're still able to increase the general fund balance by $615,324. And so in the light of all that going on, I think that's a very good result. That's about a 4% increase in your fund balance from the year before. Debt service fund is pretty much steady as she goes, just paying off your debt. Capital projects, not as much activity there. Don't really have any comments on that. From then on, it's the footnotes, and well, let's discuss the budget versus actual real quick on page 36 near the back. You will just see how you did on your budget for the general fund. So this schedule compares your final amended budget versus your actual results. In the far right column, if it's a positive number, it's a positive budget result. If it's negative, it's a negative budget result. And so you will see on revenues that water charges had the biggest positive variance, $859,000. And then on expenditures, really just had the one water department that was a little over the budget. But overall expenditures were still under budget. And so the total positive variance is $1,666,000. So great job budgeting conservatively and amending it. So no issues there. That's pretty much the highlights. Staff was really responsive to my requests through the audit process, both off-site and here on-site. Everybody was really pleasant to work with. Internal controls, like I said, look good. The reviews and the sign-offs on the invoices, deposits, bank reconciliations, things of that nature that I looked at, everything looked signed off good. Stephen provided a plethora of closing schedules and things to tie out to help me out to tie out my final numbers, and everything looked good there too. So overall, just great job.
I have a question. In your, I'll call you an expert because you've been doing it a long time as an auditor, and appreciate the work and the staff work. Not so much Stephen, but the rest of the staff. No, he's very good and very detailed-minded.
You put in some hours for me, I know that.
He does that. You know,
Does that.
And his numbers are right on mark, too. But my question being, I've heard some comments from certain council members telling other residents that we're kind of in a financial bind and might have some problems in the next couple of years. Could you comment on that? Because, I mean, all these numbers don't indicate that.
I see nothing to give that point of view.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to get that on record because I
Yes.
know what's going on. And you as an auditor coming in that, you know, wait for your opinion and assessment of, and again, you did a good job. The numbers all look in line. So I just want to get that out there as far as on record that what they're saying is not true.
Yeah,
You know,
I would field a few questions if they would point out some specific numbers here they're worried about, but I don't see anything of that nature.
okay, Director Rose, do you have anything?
No, I
Don't
was...
build Steve
was,
up anymore, okay?
Don't build him up?
No.
Yeah, he doesn't need a podium to stand on. He does it on his own merit.
Yeah, I
I mean,
fully
2
agree.
GFOA awards and a close to a very clean audit. This is high performance, high performance. Was glad to get the audit, get a chance to look over it, take some time. I did find 6 items, little stuff, really not numbers, more verbiage, that type of stuff. All of those have been cleaned up, went through and checked them, and I appreciate your work. It's great to be doing business with you.
I appreciate it. It's a pleasure for me, too. It's going to be harder for you to find stuff next year, hopefully, so.
Vice President Brewster?
I appreciate your work, and I appreciate very much what staff has done. I've been on the board for a couple of years, and once again, an A-plus performance. My question kind of follows with what you just stated about somebody having, some reservations about the future. Did we last year convert this into any kind of a statement on our website, or did we take advantage of publishing this, letting the residents of Trophy Club know that we're in a strong financial shape?
Yeah, every year we post it on our financial transparency page.
You post the audit,
And we've
too.
gotten awards for that and the way we report.
For our budgeting, yes.
Okay.
And we're working on finalizing efforts to hopefully submit for a Transparency Stars Award in the future. We're trying to digitize everything so we can have everything all in one-stop shop. And that's a future agenda item that Stephen and I will be working towards bringing out later in the year.
Anything
That's
else?
all I have.
Okay, I have a question, but it's actually a Doug question too, so Doug, Secretary Treasurer, do you have anything?
Well, I just have a couple of comments. Of course, our accounting system is based on an Encode system. It's a pony that cost us about $130,000 plus. So we ought to have good numbers. We feed in numbers and pretty sure they're going to go in the right buckets. And in the last year, we had transition issues, but Steve overcame all those. And
I continued this year. There was one issue we had to fix, but I think everything is,
Yeah, technically, it's this year because we're
Yeah.
auditing for last year. So we as staff worked hard to make sure all the data conversion was brought over from the old system to the new system and making sure everything merged correctly and was all in the right bucket, so to say. So it was kudos to the staff and everybody that helped me out on getting this up together. So.
also, the audit report tries to explain a lot of the accounting jargon that a layman wouldn't understand, and spelled out the acronyms, what they actually mean, which is very helpful. I do appreciate that. I do have one comment about approval. We'll get to that later, but I'll raise that when we get to
Yeah,
it.
that was my thing, but if you want to open the door now, or
Yeah, let's go around with it.
Mr. Thomas, do you have any question?
No, trying to get back up to speed quickly, I literally poured through this thing, enough so that my eyes started crossing. But my gut reaction was, I've seen 35 of these things, and this one was outstanding. I really thought it was well put together, and as I was making notes on things, it turned out a simple phone call to Alan, and it was totally answered for me. So, I commend you. It's one of the best ones I've seen. Kevin, I would be interested, though. I'm not asking for names, but who in the
I'm not going to tell you, so.
No, I'm not asking for names. I'm asking for what is the concern? When I went through this thing, this board is in the best financial shape I've ever seen it in.
Well, it's, without people doing the proper research and asking the proper staff as an Allen, they should always go to Allen. They just assume things. I had one director mention, why are we charging fire tax? One council member asking, why we're charging fire tax. It's like, really? Okay. So it's things like that just irritate you and the people have been on here a long time, and the people that have 2 years or more, they're up to speed now and stuff, as in Doug and Mr. Brewster. So when you hear those comments, they're going out to the residents through chat, take it as the gospel, and it isn't, and so I do not appreciate that, but I'd be happy to help them out, or educate them, or tell them where to go to get the research. And that's one of my pet peeves, and when people do things and they don't research things. So,
Well, let me just go on record by saying this. I did this thing for 35 years before you guys invited me to come back. I think from everything I've seen, climbing through this thing with a magnifying glass, this board financially is in the best shape it has ever been in, ever.
well,
And that's a compliment to the four of you, because y'all made it happen.
we also have
And our
And
predecessors.
to Alan.
yeah, we also have a good staff, but 2 years ago, the audit was ridiculous before, Mr. Abbott came back.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pathetic when we got extra stuff in the.
It wasn't
audit.
until we were having problems.
No,
We had,
the
we had
auditor, the audit
auditor
firm.
was,
Yeah,
we had problems with the auditor
But you
not
can't-
meeting auditor standards. Let's just go there.
right, and you couldn't tell the position we were in looking at that audit report, even though as directors, we knew we were, accountable and everything was there. And when you came back, you kind of put the puzzle back together, and, we used you, I don't know how long before that. I know last time I was on there.
4 or 5 years, I believe.
Yeah. So, appreciate the work, and as Jim mentioned, it is in very good position. So I'm astounded by when I hear comments like that come out of people in higher positions or elected positions, and it's like, where are you getting this information from?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I appreciate the work, and do you want to open the approval side? You had some issues about us approving the audit, which is basically just a report on the financial conditions. All the finances part have already been approved on a monthly basis, is that correct? So he's just documenting it and overviewing it and giving us a summary of what the position we are. Is that, in a nutshell, what you do? I mean, you do a lot more than that, but,
Well, Stephen does make some year-end closing entries that wouldn't match your financials to the penny, like there's unbilled revenue we talked about in our meeting. There are some things that wouldn't tie out, but these, at the end of the day, these are your financial statements that I audit, so to speak, even though I prepare the package.
Yeah.
This is what you're representing to me, and I've given you a clean opinion on, so.
okay, do you want to present your question to Emily, and maybe she could?
Well, let me discuss it a
Okay.
little bit, right?
Sure.
Because this last year, we took the financial reports out of the consent agenda. So we don't approve the financial reports, even though we have full faith and confidence in management that everything's copacetic. And the numbers are available for us to look at them if we wanted to. And we see the numbers every month. But we don't, without the backup for it, we can't certify that these numbers are correct. And so that's why I asked that the financial reports be taken out of the consent agenda, and we don't approve those every month. They just ride. And then at the end of the year, we rely, of course, on management, but on you as a fresh set of eyes to verify that everything looks good, as much as we can. Aside from fraud or errors, it's you. So if you say it's good, I'm all for that.
Okay. Well, the page 1, 2, and 3 audit opinion is an opinion that the financial statements here are reasonably stated in material respects. And so there's dollar amounts involved in that material calculation. The opinion also says that it's giving reasonable but not absolute assurance. And so it's kind of a cost-benefit thing that the AICPA came up with, that I'm not going to look at 100% of your transactions because it would be way cost prohibitive to find $200 of suspected fraud and fiscal year, whatever, so.
And you do spot check sources and where the money came from, where it went to, if they actually received it? From our
There's all
suppliers
kinds of analytical examinations, there are all kinds of what you call tests of details, and so selecting random invoices, selecting bank reconciliations to vouch out and check for controls and sign-offs and everything. Every year, you're required to do unpredictable tests. And so it's a combination of a very amount of strategy, so to speak, that auditors use to mostly assess the highest risk areas, which are always cash. But then again, cash transactions for y'all on the income side, it's mostly electronic and going through the bank. But given all of that, just from my years of experience, the controls I see with the staff that you have, the separation of duties and the sign-offs are some of the best that I've seen, so.
Yeah. I sign most of the checks that leave this operation, and every one of them I check the backup, and there's always good backup. Managers have initialed it off, and it really looks good, so each check gets checked a couple times.
There
And
you
so the checks themselves are signed by two people, so.
Right.
I have a lot of confidence in that part of it. But the income side, you don't see so much, and it is amazing, because we've got some really big contracts, and we have some really small contracts, so it's, but I loved your report, and like I say, the accounting jargon is dispelled, the acronyms are spelled out, and I appreciate that.
You bet.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Rose?
I talked with Rod about this before the meeting. One of the things, and Emily might be looking at the packet also, one of the things on, I think it's page 2 of your report at the very bottom, above your signature.
Of the loose letter, correct?
Yeah, of the loose
Yeah.
letter. And I want to bring this up just in case there's somebody out there watching and pull this up and read it and then go, wait a minute, what's this? So I want to give you a chance to explain it.
Yeah, the bottom of page 2 is just a paragraph called restrictions on use,
Yes,
which is developed, I'm required to report this way by the AICPA, it's their template. I got your question on it during the draft, so I actually looked at the footnotes and other things that
yeah.
AICPA comments on, and they don't have any additional comments on why that's there. I guess if it could be personnel matters with management having issues that I needed to convey to you, the board, that's a possibility that could be in here. That might be an executive session type of thing, but I've always just presented an open counsel, and of
Yeah,
course,
well, exactly.
you shouldn't hesitate if anybody wanted to request this
Yeah.
letter as
Yeah.
far as
So
open records.
that was my point, because if
Yeah.
somebody picked it up and they look at it and go, wait a minute,
Right.
they're trying to do things behind doors and hold
Right.
secrets, and that's not the case at all, because I read that and it says, it's not intended to be or should be used by anyone other than these specified parties. I mean, that's pretty specific.
It's pretty strong,
And we have
I-
open
I do
records,
not-
and it goes right out the door.
right. And I do not know why they chose that language,
Yeah.
I must admit.
You may have to use your credentials and go back and touch them and say, have you looked at Texas lately?
Right. Open records, yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to touch bases on that one.
Okay, anybody have anything else? Staff, do you have any questions or comments? Okay. Okay, I'll open it up for motion on agenda number 3, consider take action to approve the fiscal year 2023 annual financial audit report prepared by Mr. Rod Abbott. Okay,
I move to approve the fiscal year 2023 annual financial audit report prepared by Mr. Rod Abbott, PLLC.
okay, we have a motion to approve by Director Rose. I'll call for a second. Doug, do you want, I'm not going to tell you to make it, but you're the secretary.
I'll definitely second it.
Okay. We have a second by twisting his arm of Secretary Treasurer Harper. So, any other discussion? I see none. All in favor, show of hands. Okay. Unanimous. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Rod,
sir.
for coming in, and stay warm.
See you next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, number 4, agenda item 4, consider an act regarding approval of contract number 2024011-701 with Instiform Technologies LLC for wastewater collection systems repair.
Directors, let me back up a little bit and remind you all that annually, we do a roughly 10% evaluation of our system. That includes manhole and pipe inspection. So at the conclusion of that report, that includes smoke testing and CCTV, and it also includes private service smoke testing as well. So at the end of each annual year's report, we get a letter of recommendation of point repairs, main cleaning, any defects that they found out in the field. And we started working through this last year. Last year, we utilized another buy-board vendor, but this year, we're going to utilize Instiform. This is a very reputable vendor I've probably been working with them for roughly 15 years. This will be the third entity I've worked with them. But the report this year, we've kind of isolated it, and what I do is I break it down by priority. So we take the most highest priorities, which in my opinion is the point repairs. That's what will create blockages and backups in your system, which will create potential reporting issues with TCEQ. We want to keep the wastewater in the system, so this is our first priority. Now we're working on manhole repairs and rehab right now as well. I anticipate in the next month or two bringing another proposal back to correct those. Now, some of these are done in-house where we can do them ourselves. We do so, but this is requiring extensive excavation and rehabilitation of those specific areas. In the report, we have a few that were not taken care of last year, so we combine those in this year's report or this year's proposal for repairs. We have 29 total, and out of the 29, this repair project is going to take care of 27 of them, because 2 of them we're going to need to do a little bit further investigation with the contractor while they're in-house, or in town. This does include all the labor, materials, equipment, and any kind of necessary services to take care of these point repairs. Good thing about this contractor, they're standing ready to go. As soon as we get documentation signed and taken care of and get them set up as a vendor, they should get everything done and completed within roughly 4 months. So do you all have any questions for me regarding this? Yes, sir.
My question is the funding source for this, was this in our budget?
That's correct. We have money allocated this year for CIP improvements as part of the wastewater line improvements, I believe is what we called it.
Okay.
It's our ongoing repair projects. Yes.
Okay, that was my concern.
Does this list of repairs correct everything that you found when you did the,
Not necessarily. So what we've done is we've taken the list and broken it out of what we know we need to contract out and then what we can do in-house.
Okay.
So right now, staff is populating what they know they can take care of in-house throughout the year, and they're working on going and identifying those areas, verifying that we agree with what the project is recommended, because sometimes they go out and recommend certain things, but when we look at it, we're like, no, we should probably do X, Y, or Z. So staff is working through that on their side, compiling list of materials and supplies that are going to need, and then they'll start working through that. In my opinion, this takes care of the highest priority and most issues of concern first.
And, I mean, back in the day that you were on the board, we always did preventive maintenance to look at pipes that, aged or, have suspicious leaks. And I think Alan and his staff took it to another level a few years back, and they're actually getting more detail-oriented. And, I mean, I hate to keep bringing it up, but I had a situation on my street where when they built the house in '83, they actually pushed it into the pipe and caused blockage there. And they, found it, they corrected it. So Alan, props to Alan and his crew for really looking at not only the wastewater, the water too, as preventive measures on, not waiting until it happens, find indications of, hey, something's going to happen and fixing it. So heads up, or I applaud Mike and his crew for doing it, either the wastewater or water plant. Pumps is an example. We're going to variable speed pumps and stuff rather than the standard that we had for a number of years. I think we only had one variable speed. Is that right, Mike?
We did for a lot of years.
Yeah, and then the backup generators for the lift stations. That's, looking forward, not waiting until something happens and have to pull some trailer that doesn't fit in there, to make it work. So, again, congrats and good job to the staff. I just wanted to let you know about that. My question is, on the things that the in-house is going to do, is that in the budget too?
Yes.
Okay.
We utilize certain monies out of the wastewater collection line item, maintenance and repair collections,
Yeah.
to buy materials and supplies, and so that's what we'll use that money for.
Okay. Okay, any questions on this?
I'll make a motion.
I didn't call for the motion yet. You can make a motion.
Well, thank you. So kind of you to let me make a motion. I move to award contract number 2024-01-1701 for wastewater collection system repairs to Instaform Technologies LLC for an amount not to exceed $370,770 and authorize the general manager to execute any necessary documentation.
Excellent. We have a motion by Director Rose. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Vice President Brewster. Any further discussion?
I just want to, looking at this is an excellent example for our customers of what we do to keep the system operating both currently and into the future. This sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. But if you chase these problems and let them develop into something bigger, that number gets a lot bigger. So this is in a lot of ways preventive maintenance as well as just fixing the individual problem.
100% agree.
I have a comment
Okay.
and maybe a suggestion. Some of these projects with wastewater restoration, if you will, or rehab, are going to be big. And I'm wondering if you could tell us where those locations are. Maybe we could drive by and take a peek and see what they're doing.
I have specific addresses. Some of them don't have specific addresses because they may be in a backyard or a side yard, but I can share the locations, the general locations with you if you would like. But the schedule itself is going to be dependent on what our pre-construction meeting looks like. But once I get that, if y'all want to know that, that's not a problem.
I love it. Because the water line replacement, I've driven by all those locations, spotted around the city, and it's very interesting to see how they do that.
If you're not careful, we're going to put a logo on your vehicle.
Just bring your shovel
Got
so
the
you can
time.
dig it up. Bring your shovel. so
Our
you can
ad
dig
hoc
it up.
inspection crew, right?
And as I believe it was Director Thomas asked you earlier on, you have a plan to notify the people as the work
Absolutely.
is progressing.
That's part of our pre-construction process, is we make sure that we review door documentation, and Mike also makes sure that everybody is followed up with about who's impacted, when they're going to be impacting their yard and the adjacent residents as well.
And any contact number they can call in case there's
Correct.
problems. Okay.
Correct.
And Alan, you may have already have a plan on this, but what Bill said a minute ago, I think is really important for the residents to understand. It is a lot of money, but if you don't spend it to keep things running smoothly, you'll spend a fortune in the future. And we need to somehow put that on our website.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Rose, a second by Vice President Brewster. Any further discussion? I see none. All in favor, show of hands. Unanimous. Okay, thank you very much for the presentation and the numbers. Okay, we're on agenda number 5. Consider and take appropriate action regarding district bank signatories, including A, approve resolution 2024-0117A, designating authorized signers on Prosperity Bank accounts. B, approve resolution number 2024-0117B, as in boy, designating depository institutions, designating authorized signatories for the disbursement of district funds, providing for electronic transfers of district funds, and containing other matters relating thereto.
These are basically just to get my name on the list, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
I was going to point that out, but thank you. Well,
Has to.
I may
Well, when
have,
I went through it
Yeah.
and saw the signatures, I
it
said,
had-
well, I'm the only new name.
Yeah.
I
Anytime
was going to say,
anything
maybe I should vote no.
And it also just says that Doug's going to sign all the checks.
Tell you what, I'd like to make a
I'm happy
motion
to.
that we approve the two resolutions.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve A, 2024-0117, designating authorized signers on prosperity accounts, and B, resolution number 2024-0117, B as in boy, designating depository institutions, designating authorized signatories for the disbursements of district funds, providing electronic transfers of district funds, and containing other matters relating thereto. I didn't have to read it, but I just wanted to read it anyway.
I'll second.
So it's
Amen.
clear. Okay, so we have a motion by Director Thomas, a second by Director Rose. Any further discussion? I see none. All in favor, show of hands. Unanimous.
I
Thank you.
thought Director Thomas would abstain,
Yeah,
but he makes the motion.
yeah. Okay, we're on 6 now. Consider and take appropriate actions to approve matters related to May 4th, 2024 general election. A, adopt order number 2024-0117A as an apple, calling the May 4th, 2024 general elections. B, approve notice of appointment of agent. C, authorize general manager to sign and execute all necessary documents relating to the election. And D, authorize other necessary actions as may be necessary or convenient for conducting the May 4th, 2024 general elections. And those elections will be held at the Mud Building, is that correct? On election day?
Correct.
And early? Okay, just so everybody knows. Okay, so that is the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll attempt to match your reading skills, unless you
Okay,
want to.
I'm not going to read it again because.
Okay, I move to approve, I move to adopt order number 2024-0117A, calling the May 4th, 2024 general election, and approve notice of appointment of agent, and authorize the general manager to sign and execute all necessary documents relating to the election, and authorize other necessary actions as may be necessary or convenient for conducting the May 4th, 2024 general election.
Okay, we have a motion for A, B, C, and D pertaining to election. Do I have a second?
And I'm going to second since I'm not running.
Okay, we have a second by Director Thomas. Again, motion by Director Rose, second by Director Thomas. Any further discussion?
I'm assuming that Lori's been the agent before. Is there anything different in this?
You update your business cards, agent? Okay, do we have anybody sign up? Okay, that would be Mr. Rose and myself. Okay, just to let the public know. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? I see none. All in favor? Show of hands. Okay, unanimous.
We can't have any campaigning from the dais.
I just want to know who signed up.
Okay.
Wasn't campaigning. Okay. Emily, you keep us honest here, okay? I don't know if she's still.
Of course I will.
Yeah. Okay. Agenda, there's 2 agenda number 6s on this one.
Yeah.
So this is actually 7. So if you would, in the minutes, make sure it's 7 and 8 instead of 6 and 7. Okay. Items for future agendas. I brought it up earlier as far as I had, monitoring the Facebook, which I don't do a lot, but there's some people talking about, the freezing of the lines, or they continue to drip the water system. And we talked, and I think you mentioned that Mr. Rose probably calculated that usage out. Have you done that, or?
Yeah, we looked at that as far as the impact on the water bill. We looked at that.
Okay,
a couple.
don't go real deep.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because we're not agended.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we looked at it. It doesn't have a significant impact on the water bill that I found.
We need to add that to the next month's agenda to talk about it, come up with a number and see what actions, if any, that we, may do when Chris comes in March. Is that right? He comes in March to talk about the usage? Okay. And, okay, so anybody else have anything? Mr. Thomas,
You pass those down, please, Don.
you want to take one?
Yeah.
We really can't get into it too deep, but you can do the
No.
topic.
Yeah, just, again, appreciate the pictures, but we can't talk about it in depth.
No, the pictures was just to explain what I want to do on the agenda.
Okay, just,
When I was making the decision to submit my name or not, I took my own personal walk around the sewer plant and some other structures. And, and my travels carried me down to the pipe, the sewage pipe that brings the sewage from the PID into the plant. The two top pictures are a picture of looking 180 degrees one direction, 180 degrees the other direction. It's quite a ways, from the plant, but you notice in the third picture down, we have the steel girders that we put over that pipe to protect it. But we are developing an issue that could be extremely serious. The next picture is the oak tree that's sitting there on the Accords property. And then the next picture on the back page shows its relationship to our pipe. And then the last picture, which is not a real good one, is the roots, being washed out. So what I'm going to ask in the next agenda item is that we discuss about the possibility of having Emily prepare something that maybe Kevin, you and Alan could present to the commander. I'm thinking, and it's even deteriorated more in the last 30 days. When I was there in December, the tree logically looks like it was going to fall and miss the pipe. Yesterday, when I took these pictures, it terrified me because the right side of the tree trunk is washed out. And it looks like that thing might want to fall right on this thing, so.
okay, so the agenda item, I would.
So I want to discuss the possibility of kind of notifying the core of this issue caused by a tree on their property, that if it falls and ruptures our sewer line, they're responsible.
Let's just call the agenda item, discuss and take appropriate action concerning
But again, that was the background.
tree and aerial sewer line.
Yeah,
That's
and
the background behind
and these pictures are basically give Alan a heads up to approach the court and show him these pictures in the root system. Is that correct?
Say again?
To approach the core property and come back with the agenda item on discuss the condition of the root system on the tree base.
To have the agenda item first and discuss
Right.
what the necessary
Right, but
action
he's
would
giving you a
be.
heads up, from what I
Yeah.
take it, is here's what the agenda item, we already agree that there's going to be agenda to discuss the
Yeah.
situation.
I have a complete file folder that I will upload, and I will give you all the backup data and all the prior pictures that you all can look at and take a look at yourself.
Well, the pictures, we just need input from the core.
There's information
No.
from our previous engineer about correspondence with the Corps as well, if I'm not mistaken.
We probably need to just update that and get an update on, hey, here's what it is. It might not change, but at least give us the latest, not a year back or whatever it was.
Yeah, I'll get all that information
Okay,
uploaded to y'all.
so you
before next
understand
meeting.
what the agenda item can be.
My understanding, talking with Alan, we haven't done anything with the Corps in at least 4 years. And that tree has dramatically changed.
We can't talk any further on it.
I'll send you all the
Yeah.
photos so y'all can
Yeah.
compare before and
Yeah,
after.
second thing, now this is more of a question, and maybe for Emily. I got approached by the ladies that want to do something with the building because I had stated openly that I really would like for us to put that building in some kind of use. Well, they wanted to meet with me, and I said, no, I'm not comfortable doing that. And I said, Kevin has already told you need to come back to the board, with your list, and I think, should consider doing that. Well, I ran into Connie White today, and her comment at the Roanoke Citizen Center, and she wanted to say something. I said, well, Connie, I'm not going to talk with you about it, but I'll listen. And she said what they wanted to do was approach each MUD director individually.
No.
And I said, I don't know if we can allow that.
No, don't. And again, so you want to
Traveling
put what
quorum.
agenda item on here?
Well, no, unless they
Discussion.
come back, you've already told them to come back.
Yeah.
And so until they request time on the deal, I don't know what to do.
Okay, I'm not going to get into it real deep, but Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, you've already met with a group.
Correct. And I gave them the expectation of what I felt the board was going to be looking for as far as proposals. We also had the conversation with Emily about leasing that property out and what potentially that might look for. At the time, there was no further discussion other than meet with those individuals, let them know what we received from Emily at the time as far as lease options. And I explained that to them and told them to be, if they wanted to come back to the board and provide any proposals or recommended lease options, whatever they were thinking about doing, gather that information and bring it back to the board at that time, and I have not received anything from them.
They actually came to citizens' presentation one meeting, and that was, what, maybe 5 or 6 months ago?
It was October.
October.
I missed
Yeah.
that meeting.
Okay.
And Kevin, I just
Probably-
basically
I mean,
wanted you to know
unless
that.
there's an
that
agenda
they-
item be proposed, probably need to move on from this.
Yeah, I agree.
What I was going to say is, very quickly, Emily, I would caution the directors, when you hear somebody that says that they're going to talk to all the directors, you run yourself into the possibility of a walking quorum real
Agreed.
quickly, because all they have to do is say, well, I talked to President Carr, and I talked to Vice President Brewster, and this is what they said, and boom, there you've got it, walking quorum.
And again, Bill, I brought it up only because I wanted you to know that I told them that I was not comfortable meeting with them.
We're good.
Yeah, until they come back and tell us which way they want to go, I don't see a reason to put the agenda item on there.
Well, we're not good yet. I want to know why we can't meet with them individually.
Because you
If they're not polling us, if they're not polling us and asking us,
I'm happy to have that conversation kind of individually with you all on a one-on-one, but let's not have that discussion because it's not on the agenda. So I'm uncomfortable with you all continuing to discuss this as a quorum, but I'm happy to talk to you individually about what you can do in terms of having discussions with them individually.
Okay, in that situation, probably could just talk to one person, Alan, and you can call us each and let us know. or send
I will share her information and set up a time with you if you would like. Is there
That'd be
any?
helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm
Is that
kinda like-
okay,
I'm kinda
Emily?
like Ben, I'd like to know why.
That works for me.
Okay. Okay, so everyone's good on that?
And if it's a significant item, we could have a little training session.
A what?
Training session
On what?
on how to handle that particular type
Okay.
situation.
Well, we could,
Yep.
let's leave it in Alan's hands right
Yeah.
now, and then if we need to do anything further, he can do that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Are there any other directors other than Mr. Thomas and Mr. Brewster that would like to discuss this with Emily? So I can know who to reach out to?
I don't
Yeah.
have it.
All of you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if there's something here that might make me smarter, I'd like to have it.
Okay.
And Alan, all of us know these ladies very well. I mean, we're close friends, we've been in this community for years, and they bump into each one of us out in the community, they throw this idea out, and we just need a uniform answer, I think.
Okay, no more discussion on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, anything else for future agendas?
Go ahead, sir.
I was going to ask this question, and it relates to how we present ourselves to the community. Earlier in the day, I just, to double-check something, went into the town website, and if you look at the homepage, government, go to MUD 1, it'll take you to a MUD website, and it will, if you scroll down on that, it tells what our mission is, and then it tells about events that are upcoming. And if you're a new resident in town, or you're an established resident, you just want to know more about what the MUD is, you look for events, upcoming events, and the first upcoming event is dated 1/1/2019, and then there are two in the month of February in 2019. So the question, yeah, well, it's there. It's on the town website, and I think we can
Again,
do
I'm going to interrupt Paul. I'm going to interrupt. Y'all are going way beyond what I think. You're having discussions. I think what you just need to do is say, I would like to have an agenda item on X.
Well, that's what I'm doing, Emily. So
I know,
the
but
question is
there's a
to
lot of
answer the
discussion about it.
question, who's
Wait, wait, wait.
responsible?
Okay, so you want an agenda item to discuss the website updates, pretty much, is that? Okay.
In essence, who's responsible for the updates?
Well, not responsible, just, yeah, okay, you can do responsible.
And I've discussed this with Alan before.
Okay,
so-
you got that, Lori? Okay. Anything else? You got anything? You just retired now,
Don't have
so you
anything.
just
I'm
don't
retired.
care anymore? Or what?
It's permanent Saturdays. Every day is Saturday.
Directors,
Okay.
I do have one request for you all to consider. During the budget last year and during the benefit selection portions of conversation and meetings, there has been some differing opinions on compensation and benefits. So I've been in conversation with our compensation and benefits consultant that we use annually to help us review where we're at against comparators and comparable entities. So before we proceed forward with him, do you all want to have a conversation with him yourself about expectations, policy moving forward before we get into the budget process? Or are you all happy with how things have been handled the last few years as far as determining the CPIs, how our benefits compare to others? It's very important that we go ahead and get that time scheduled with him if you do. That way we can get things built before we start working on the budget.
I think personally it would be beneficial for someone to come to the meeting and we can go into executive session or whatever. Is that allowable, Emily, to go into executive session, or does it have
Well,
nothing
I'd
to
have
do?
to see exactly what y'all are wanting to do in executive session. I
Okay.
mean, if you're wanting legal advice, sure. But if it's just to go, and if you're going to talk about specifics. So again, we're getting kind of beyond,
Well, this is just asking what,
I know, but that's still deliberation. And
We're not-
it's deliberating
well,
something that's not on
I
the agenda.
respectfully
So
So-
to answer my
disagree, but-
question, y'all are open to comp and class conversation?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
have
that's
some-
what I need to know. I
have
just
someone
didn't want
come
to
to
bring
the
them in without y'all's consent and making sure y'all will open that. Basically, where I'm just trying to solidify a policy,
yeah,
okay?
okay. Give him, basically, so he has his marching orders, or staff has their marching orders, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, anything else? I'm afraid to bring anything else. Emily will knock us down and stuff.
I know, I'm sorry.
No
Maybe we need
problem.
to do this- Maybe we need to do this a little differently going forward, and I'll talk to Alan about it.
Yeah, well, on future agenda, it's nice to give direction or have the general manager know exactly what he's going to, what research he needs to bring to us, rather than put something on there and he's like, I don't know, so,
Yeah, I'll
anyway.
Alan and I'll talk.
Yeah, okay, that's fine, we're good. Okay, next, agenda number 8, that was number 7. Agenda 8, next regular meeting date, February 21st, 2024. Everyone good with that? Okay, good. And do I have to read this? No, we didn't go to
Nope, no exam.
executive session. So we're just going to adjourn now at 7:34, I'll call it.